This is from Reverend Robert's book, The Awakening Word, chapter 1. Wake up. Wake up! Wake up! I've called you 1,000 times. In your sleep, the moon has wandered and the stars fell. The night birds have flown and now the sun is high. Once again, you miss the dawn and the noonday bell. Wake up! Wake up! I've called you 1,000 times. There are sugary cakes and fresh water from the well. The market has fat fish and the best cheeses and wine. Why sleep when they have so many good things to sell? Wake up! Wake up! I've called you 1,000 times. You're missing the best part of the day. The streets are full of beggars. Wake up! Grab a nickel before they go away. Wake up! Wake up! I've called you 1,000 times. The trees are full of apples and blossoms as big as the sun. The cobbler won't be the same without you, my friend. Still, you sleep, not knowing your life has begun. Wake up! Wake up! I've called you 1,000 times. The wind is in our favor. The clouds dance and play. The air is sweet. The grass is great for rolling. Yet you sleep this day like every other day. Wake up. Wake up. I've called you 1,000 times. You've been crowned Lord of the land. The sky is your playground, the earth your slave. But asleep, you don't know what you command. Wake up, wake up. I've called you 1,000 times. But it seems a powerful dream keeps you from me. A dream that keeps you searching for love and joy. Wake up, wake up. They're here, awake in me. Ladies and gentlemen, poet, lyricist, and author, Reverend Robert Mitchell.
What can I say, Joe Tinker? Thank you. Before I begin, the beautiful artwork on the cover and in the book is by Diane Stewart, and she is here this morning. Diane, would you please stand up and let us give you a little love? There. She will be with me signing books later, should you decide to join in on that. So, first of all, what's up with his hair? Doesn't he know he's too old to do that? Doesn't he know it's too thin on top to do that? No, don't tell him. You know, you give a teenager a little bit of freedom and they do strange things. Well, I'm 66 years old and my life has just started.
All right.
So I can do strange things. Now, speaking of strange things, in the last 6 weeks or so, I have gotten to do some things in my life that I have never done before. And of course, it's all centered around the book. This whole month, I have something to do every Sunday, some book signings. And a couple of weeks ago, I was interviewed on a radio talk show. And I made a YouTube. Some of you I know have seen it. And I've learned a little bit about the process. I still don't quite understand how it gets to all of the places that it gets. And what I found, I've been told they wind up on different channels. And this particular channel, whatever it may be a poetry corner or something like that, they kind of take it in and have it on their website. And then they have all of these others to the side that you can click on. If you like this, you'll like this. So I wanted to give y'all some sort of an account of how many times it's been seen. So I went to several of those channels, whatever that means, last night when I Googled it. And I wound up with this one that had 138 hits, and it showed, my picture there, and you click, you see the, and then they have all of this list, this long list. If you like this, you'll like this. They were clips from Third Rock from the Sun. And for you younger people, I didn't say 30 Rock, I said Third Rock from the Sun. The aliens that live in the world, and they don't quite understand the world, they don't understand humans. And they try so hard to fit in and they don't. And then I got to thinking about my life. Oh, there's a story of my life. I didn't fit in practically anywhere I went. Of course, until I found the path. But I got to thinking about all those times when I felt like an outsider and I so wanted to understand people and I couldn't. But it was because of my path that I was able to start even a little tiny bit to understand how we live our life and the love that is inside each and every one of us. And as I sit there, this whole thing kind of rushed over me while I was looking at my computer screen, seeing all of those things that I could click on. And I realized, it's not so far-fetched. It's not so far-fetched that someone would hear my poem and feel as though it belonged alongside Third Rock from the Sun. So I'm okay with that. And by the way, I stayed up for about an hour watching clips. So whoever those people are, they're going to be very glad. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. God calls us 1,000 times a day to wake up. And we do. Right now, everybody in this room is a little bit awake to a certain degree. A lot of times we think of being awake as, being the Pope or, Jesus or somebody on a mountain or, but we, all the time, we are waking up. We wake up for brief periods of time when we're around our family, our loved ones. We wake up and then we go back to sleep because we go back out into the world. And of course, by sleep, I mean living in that hypnotic world that we live in where we're our conditions and where everybody's either out to get us or they're just, don't want to mess with us. And we wind up being the same way. We all go back to sleep. Even Jesus went back to sleep on the cross. Father, why have you forsaken me? We all go back to sleep, but we all wake up from time to time. And our paths are about waking up more and staying awake longer. And we find at the end of the day, when we have walked a path, whatever that is, our major path, I'll get into that in a minute, our major path or just something that we're going through, what we find at the end of it is love. We were created from love, we were born from love, and we are destined to love. Now, in religious science, we don't believe in destiny or fate. We create our own through choices. And that's exactly what I mean when I say destined. That we are destined to choose at some point. But it's not forced on us. Our paths, our waking up process allows us to see that we have a choice. And that choice is to love. So today I want to start you all off on a path. I want you to, this is just something that you can be consciously aware of. And by path, I mean something that you do where you have a little bit or a lot of an understanding that you are both human and divine. Bringing God into the picture of whatever it is that you're doing. So I'm going to start you off on a path today, and your path, this path that you start today may take you an hour, it may take you an afternoon, it may take you a week or a month, or you may get on it for the rest of your life. I'd like for you just to look at your neighbor. Just look at your neighbor. Somebody sitting beside you. And repeat after me, if you will. And by the way, if you can't get anybody in your sight, you can just look at me. Repeat after me while looking at that person. We are destined to love.
We are destined to love.
Now, that wasn't so hard to do, you know. Well, okay. You know, we're in a very safe atmosphere, you know. We know what love is here. But let's take that a little step further. I'd like for you to look at somebody else again, not the person you just looked at, but somebody else. Look around the room, see if you can get an eye contact with somebody. It doesn't matter who it is, male, female, it doesn't matter. And if you can't find anybody, just simply look at me. And let's say that again. We are destined to love. Now, it got a little harder, didn't it? Even in this safe atmosphere, it got a little harder because the first time you said that, maybe it was to somebody, relative or your spouse or, somebody, and it was okay. But when you have to say it to somebody or you are asked to say it to somebody that you don't particularly know, then it gets a little hard. Something goes off inside us. It either feels good or it doesn't. So here's your challenge. Here's your path. When you leave here today, whether it's this afternoon, or tonight, or tomorrow, whether it's at work, standing in line at the grocery store, does not matter where you are on 635. I want you to look at somebody, a total stranger that you have never seen before, and say to yourself, the only difference between a spoken word and a thought is vibration. The universe will get it. And say to them, we are destined to love. We are destined to love. And the more that we wake up, the more that we can understand love as a concept to the world, not just as an individual to an individual, but humanity. So here's what's going to happen when you do that, and you will be called to do it, by the way. You will be standing in line at the grocery store, and you'll think about that, and you'll think, oh my God, that old man told me. Something will happen inside your body. You will either feel good about it, that that's the truth, or you may think that you're just blowing smoke, or you're trying to believe something you really don't believe. And there's your work. You see, that's what makes it a path. There is work to be done. Something negative would be to heal. Something positive is meant to grow. If you feel good about that, be the observer. Examine yourself. I do feel good about life and spirit and myself. I do feel good about love. If you don't feel good about it, then there's your work. What is it that I don't feel good about? What is it that I need to take into prayer, meditation? What is it that I need to talk to somebody about? There's your work. Because at that moment, you can be led off into any number of paths. Paths are all about doing. Yes, we have our major paths that teach us who we are and how to live in the world and what God is. Our particular path, even if you're just visiting this morning for an hour, your path is new thought. But there's the path of Hinduism, Christianity, Buddhism, and I don't write about those in my book. I do write about new thought. But I write about paths as something that we can recognize in our daily life, something that we are going through. We know that prayer and meditation and things like that are a path. But what about college education? What about those 3 years? What about a divorce? Think about that for a moment. Two people going through a divorce. If they can look at it as a path, meaning God is here, Spirit is here, love is here. We may not feel it right now, but love is here. Chances are that divorce could be better, could wind up in love. It's recognizing Spirit is with us all the time in everything we do. We can have the spiritual experience anywhere because God is everywhere. All we have to do is start looking for it. Because it's all around, it's everywhere. Elizabeth Barrett Browning said, earth is crammed with heaven. It's here, right now, with us. And all we have to do is turn our attention to it. Wake up. And it's okay to go back to sleep. My book can be read on 3 different levels. It can be read by someone who does not have a major path. and it can give them the encouragement to start one. It starts out by asking the question, are you ready? And I use the idea of a flower, blooming. Are you ready to blossom? Are you really ready to do this? And it gives some words of encouragement about blooming, blossoming. And then it goes on into another chapter about asking about, are you being moved? Yes, you're being moved. You were moved to come here this morning regardless of the reason. Doesn't matter. You're here. That's what matters. You're here to hear something. You're here to see something. You're here to feel and experience something. So yes, I think you are being moved. And it goes on to that into many different essays about life and how we live it. Life as a game or a gamble. Life as rules of life. So someone can read my book and decide, okay, I'm going to try New Thought, or I'm going to try Hinduism or Buddhism or whatever. Okay, somebody can already be on a path, like many of y'all. I think about my foundation class students. Do I have some students here this morning, please? To read my book from where they are, just starting this path, it can be a very inspirational tool about, okay, what do I do now? What are all the things that I can stretch myself to do? Toward the end of the book, I talk about the path of service, the path of compassion, the path of peace, the path of oneness. All of those things that you don't particularly have to join an organization to do, you can do by yourself. But it's great to be in a community where you have support. Someone else can also read my book that's on a path, a major path, and they're not being fed. They're not blooming, they're not blossoming, they're not becoming all that they can be. And make a change. I cannot tell you how many people in the last 12 years that have come to me and said, it didn't work for me anymore. I have to find something else. People on many paths that we know of can be made feel guilty about who they are, the things that they do. They get a sermon on Sunday about damnation and hell. And what they're seeking is love. Life. Joy. And I know that that's what each and every one of you find here. There are 53 essays in the book. And I would like to share one of them with you this morning. And it's called A Magical Reality. Now, why in the world would I use the word magic in a church, talking about God and life? So, see what you think about this. As a boy, I remember Peter Pan and Tinkerbell and a trail of twinkling pixie dust that made everything magical. In my wonderful make-believe world as a child, I had some of that dust, and I would use it to make amazing things happen. I got everything I wanted and could even fly, at least in my childlike fantasy. As I grew older, the dust naturally lost its power, slowly disappeared. But I never really lost the idea of making things happen magically. Some gesture or movement of a hand, the wave of a wand, uttering some ancient words. The dust was gone, but the belief was not. I think we're all like that. I think we're all looking for some sort of magic to make the adventure happier and maybe even fly a little. The notion of being happy and getting what we want in life seems to be what life is all about. We're all on an adventure looking for those ends. We all want our needs met, good health, money, friends, love, on and on. We can find the promises of magic everywhere. There are many courses to take, books to read, people to tell us what to do, and we are told our dreams could come true if we would. But nobody has the dust, or at least it seems that way. When I found my spiritual path, I was reacquainted with the idea of magic. Like other things, spirituality offers what would seem like magic to a lot of people. I was told, and I do believe, that I could have everything I wanted and that my dreams would come true. But it was not magic. It was work. The work was changing the beliefs about life that had changed since I was that child and had that dust. In essence, I had to go back to being a child again. To make magic happen, I had to go back to believing in magic. I had to let go of the limited ideas I had come to believe about life. In healing those false beliefs, I found that the kingdom is here and now and not some far-off kingdom that I have to fly away to. But I did learn how to fly. I learned that all our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. I learned that all the magic I could ever hope for was in me and all around me. I learned that this kind of magic was not sleight of hand or trickery or illusion, but the wonderful things that come with belief. I learned that good things are not out of the ordinary, but the way things should be. I learned that with faith in God, all things are possible, even magic. I learned with faith in God, well, I've already read that all things are magic, even magic. I also learned that life was meant to be bold and daring, and that each of us has the ability to succeed and make our own magic. So, what about that dust? When I think about it these days, I wonder if God made the dust and we are made from the dust. Are we that dust? Are we, or can we be the magic that makes things happen? I think the answer is yes. I think we are the magic. I think we create the magic because the magic of life is within us. I think we are here to say the words, make the gestures, sprinkle the dust. That is the truths we know about God and life. I think that we are here to learn how to fly, not only here to learn how to fly, but to show others it's possible to fly. After all, say this with me. All you need is faith and trust and a little bit of pixie dust. I have been told that the backbone of the book is the poetry. I was told earlier today that the poetry, that there are 16 poems, there were 16 original poems in the book, and that they were kind of like the knots in a rosary, that they kind of anchored everything. And I want to share my experience with you. The poems were all written early in the morning hours. I would wake up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning while I was writing the essays, and I would have this hook in my mind, usually the name of the poem. I would have this hook in my mind, and it was like I was hearing it rather than just thinking it. And I would have all of these other ideas and things that would come into my head. And I would sometimes go back to sleep, and I would wake up at maybe 5 or 6 or whatever, and I would take a pencil and paper, and within 10 to 15 minutes, the complete poem was done without changing any of the essence. I did go back and tweak, but most of these, all of these poems were written mostly early in the morning after being kept awake a lot at night. I talked to a friend of mine about that, and what she suggested is that possibly I was being visited, that in between my half asleep, half awake, that I was being connected to the one mind, and I was able to listen to what the one mind had to say. And I do believe it's true. You know, we all are connected to one mind, and in the right frame of mind, we can get it. It can speak through us. A lot of the language that I use in the poem, it's not language that I use daily. It's very different. And the poems are mostly fantasies. They tell a little story, but they also teach truth. So I would like to share one with you. After my conversation with that friend of mine about being visited. The name of it is The Angels of Poets for a Poem. Late at night, the voices whisper the ideas that come to my head. My room becomes a playhouse as I try to sleep in my bed. In my dream, the voices echo. I'll awake and look around to see I'm alone, but the room is crowded with angels looking at me. One by one, they make an entrance, floating visions of beautiful light, golden wings gracefully arching for this midnight fantasy flight. Awake in my sleep, I see them, a gathering of spirits here, my pillows propped for the hour. For the moment, heaven is near. The angels of poets are upon me, the reflections the poets left behind, giving life to words and memories, recounting their perfect rhyme. Golden tongues reciting treasures, luminous halos begin to spin, quells flying like darts in circles, a gathering I don't want to end. They speak to me of roses and rivers, garden gates and the beloved's door, a nightingale, a golden key, the journey we walk evermore. They tell me about the secrets of love, the taste of sweetened wine, meadows, gazelles, and daffodils, and that their hearts are mine. They tell me I must lose myself if I really want to be found, a hollowed reed for the breath to flow, and humble if I want to be crowned. The joy of their words alive in me, ecstasy swelling my heart, meter and rhyme in perfect time from angel lips, this beautiful art. I know this student is ready. Why else would these teachers appear? My task now, pen and paper, my destiny drawing near. Is this gathering a reality? I don't want to wait too soon. I'm afraid if I turn the light on, there'll be a hush across the room. I hope that this becomes a part of your life at some point. Let us pray. Let us just take a moment and just let it all settle in. Just knowing that each and every person here today is on a path of love and joy, a path of peace and harmony. And how good it is to know. How good it is to know that this one life contains each and every one of us. That we are born in the essence of love, the very ground of all being. And so we simply know together that we are guided, guarded, and loved into a path that serves our journey. A journey of self-awakening and understanding. If anyone this morning has brought an issue or a challenge, I know that God is your source. I know that God is the very wellspring and grounding of your own being. If anyone here has brought the thought of another, wherever they are or whatever their condition is, I know that God is there. God is the omnipresent love that shines throughout eternity. And so we simply know together. We know together and we call it good. And we affirm this by saying,